All right, in this video, I'm going to review the new Black Adam movie. Spoiler warning, I'm going to spoil everything in this movie. All right, so what is this movie about? Well, there is a summary from IMDb, which says nearly 5,000 years after he was bestowed with the almighty powers of the Egyptian gods and imprisoned just as quickly, Black Adam is freed from his earthly tomb, ready to unleash his unique form of justice on the modern world. I went to go see this movie a couple weeks ago with a couple of my friends from a sports league I played in earlier this year. I hadn't seen them in a while, so it was really good to catch up. And overall, it was a pretty normal movie experience, except for the fact that when there was about 20 minutes left in the movie, I did have to go to the bathroom right as the final battle was happening. And so I stepped out, missed the final enemy being defeated. But luckily, I am an AMC A-List member where I get 3 free movies a week. And so literally the next day, I just went back to the theater just for that last part of the movie and just watched that last part again and then left. So good to be an AMC A-List member. All right, so what did I like about this movie? I have to say that overall this movie was a pretty entertaining and fun ride. And I'm kind of torn on the movie because when you look at it, it's really not a great movie. At least most people would not think so. It's not going to win any Oscars. It doesn't really reach the levels of the Marvel movies. But I still had a ton of fun, and my friends had fun, and I had fun, and it was fun rewatching that last part. So I don't know how much I can really complain. One of my favorite things about the movie was just the look and the visual style of how the Black Adam character and the Justice Society were designed. And I thought the visual effects were pretty good and pretty cool, and the powers and all of that. It was just great. The action itself was also pretty cool. I really liked the use of slow motion in a few of the scenes. And one of my favorite pieces of action was just the scene at the end, the final battle, where you have Hawkman fighting, I'm forgetting the name of the demon guy. I guess it doesn't matter. You have Hawkman fighting Demon Guy. You have Dr. Fate multiplying so that he can overpower Demon Guy. So cool action, entertaining. I also have to say that I liked the new Justice Society characters. There's one asterisk I'll put on that, which I'll get to later in the review. But I generally found these characters compelling and interesting and entertaining, especially Dr. Fate and Hawkman, and I want to see more. That's what I liked about the movie. What would I change? The main thing is that I would either add more substance to some of the threads that they started to put into the movie, or I would drastically simplify the movie and just have fewer threads. One example is that you have this whole arc with The Rock and his motivations of why he's doing what he's doing. And it's like, I kind of get it. It kind of makes sense, but it still doesn't seem like there's enough there for it to fully land in an emotionally impactful way. And so that's an area where maybe I would invest in the story, because having some kind of character arc for The Rock is probably a requirement for the story. I would also say with the villain, with the demon guy, which again, I can't remember his name, but he ended up just being a placeholder standard villain, nothing really interesting about him. I would maybe invest a little bit more substance there as well. But then it's like they have all these other things they're trying to do with the movie and all these other pieces of commentary, like this one with the whole commentary around foreign occupation. It seems like they start that commentary and there's that theme there, but I don't really know what they're saying about it other than foreign occupation and oppression from foreigners is bad. It feels a little bit incomplete to me, and so I would have rather either them take that out of the movie or fill it out more. And there's probably other examples I could go through, like they have the Justice Society and they have The Rock and they have all this stuff going on, and it doesn't really feel like enough of it gets its full justice done. Like with the Justice Society in particular, maybe what could have helped is if we had had more movies with them before this. I go back to the Avengers and how we had, solo movies for Captain America and Iron Man. And this movie, it feels like they're really cool and I really like them a lot, but they're just plopped into the universe and it just seems like there's so much more that they could mine there. And maybe they will in future movies. I will say that I could not help but thinking throughout the movie that the Justice Society is just an alternative version of different Marvel characters. For instance, you have Hawkman, who's like a black man flying around in some like wingsuit, and that just seems like Falcon from Marvel. You have Dr. Fate, which seems like a combination between Doctor Strange and maybe even Professor X from the X-Men. You have Cyclone, which seems kind of like Storm. You have Atom Smasher, which seems kind of like Ant-Man, including the fact that he gets really big. At some point, it's probably hard to come up with super novel superhero ideas after you've done dozens and dozens of them. So I'll forgive it. But then at the end of the movie, what I'm left with is just a desire for a little more clarity around how this movie fits in, especially in the context of all these other movies and heroes in the DCEU. Like, is this in the same world as the Justice League and the Snyderverse? I think so, based on the fact that Henry Cavill appears as Superman in the end credits. But then I thought I had heard that after the Snyder cut of the Justice League that they were not continuing with that universe. Maybe they changed their mind. But then if it is the same world, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of references to it in this movie. Like, they have this whole futuristic city which is powered by this like Eternium thing. By the way, sounds a lot like Wakanda and how they were able to be so advanced because of the vibranium. But there's like no references to the Justice League, and maybe there shouldn't be, I don't know. I know there's references to Shazam, and when I saw the references, I was like, man, I should have watched that movie before this. My fault. But then it's like you have the Robert Pattinson Batman, which I thought was great, but clearly not in this universe. I think it's just a little messy right now, and I hope that they give some clarity around it. All right, so what did I think about this movie overall? Well, I have to say that overall I was entertained. I had fun. I would rewatch it. Not gonna win any Oscars, but still did its job. So for this movie, I will give it a 3 out of 5 star rating. All right, if you saw this movie, if you had any thoughts, please leave them in the comments down below. As always, if you liked this video, hit the like button, which will help others find it, and subscribe for more. Peace.